Yo, what is going on, guys? Today we'll be talking about Kristaps Porzingis and the Dallas Mavericks. And I want to hear down below in the comments before we start today's video, what do you guys think of the Dallas Mavericks? And what do you guys think about Kristaps Porzingis being available and what he's contributed to this team so far? So let's get into it and let's talk about it. So from a glance, if you're looking at his stats, the man's averaging 20.5 points per game, 8.6 rebounds, 1.3 assists per game, 1.5 blocks a game, and half a steal a game, and his PR is 21.45. Now, if you look at the last 10 games, or the last 7 games he's played, he's averaged 30 minutes a night, shot 51% from the field, 38% from 3, and he's averaging 8.6 rebounds and 21 points, and basically 1 block and half steal during these last 7 games. And my personal opinion is, as time continues to pass, it seems like more and more Kristaps Porzingis is being available, because when they traded for him, they're anticipating him to continue being this guy who can stretch the floor on offense and score at will. And then on defense, he can be a great rim protector and a solid rebounder. And as time has progressed, it seems like these injuries have really affected Kristaps Porzingis' athleticism that he did have, because he wasn't the most athletic guy on the court, but he did have athleticism. And now we're looking at a guy who, at one point of his career, for when he was in his first year with the Dallas Mavericks and his last 2 years with the Knicks, he had over 2 blocks per game, and he was almost getting a steal per game. And yeah, he was never the greatest rebounder. His career 7.7 rebounds per game, but last season he had 9.5. So obviously you'd hope he rebound more. And also, he's never been a great passer. That's something you would hope would be a good passer next to Luka, to help set up with a lot of big men like Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, and a few other guys. Julius Randle now. You got Ulp doing passing out of the top post is like the new trend for big men. Like, if you aren't the greatest shooter, if you can shoot, having that passing skill as well is a very coveted. And Kristaps doesn't have that. So I think right now, the way the Dallas Mavericks seems like, hey, I think we're just as good without him, or we could trade him and get some investment back on the dollar they spent. They spend a lot to get him, and obviously right now it seems like the Mavericks have won the trade more than the Knicks, because the Knicks have kind of failed at everything, like wasted everything they got in that trade. And I think the best thing for them to do is, I think I could see them. So for me, I see them finishing the season with Kristaps Porzingis, unless they get like an offer they can't refuse. And the reason I say that is, like, if they get an offer where they get a bunch of picks and they get, obviously picks and a players, and they can send Kristaps away, because they obviously need to get players to make the money work, unless it's like a team with absolutely so much salary cap, which I doubt it. I think it's going to be a team that's contending or close to contending, trading for Kristaps. But the reason I see him getting traded more this offseason or at next year's trade deadline is due to the fact that probably the Dallas Mavericks are going to be the one facilitating trade, being they're going to be the one calling people looking to trade him instead of people calling them. Even though they probably garnered interest, they're probably going to look at someone and be like, hey, if we throw in Kristaps Porzingis, obviously they don't want to throw in any picks, but they could say, like, hey, if we throw Kristaps in a pick, could we get an actual, like, good star player? Like, And what is Kristaps Porzingis' trade value? Is it like you could trade Kristaps straight up for Kevin Love? Would that be like their trade value? Or could you trade him straight up for Jeremy Grant? Because I think that's more, he has a higher trade value then. It's kind of interesting to think about. What is Kristaps Porzingis' trade value? It's very up in the air. We don't know what it is, because Kristaps Porzingis, it's not that he's bum. He's playing like decent, but it's obviously not what we thought he would develop into. And we can see that he has lost a bit of a step because of these injuries, and he's already at the age of 25, which is kind of sad. And he is having a PER 21.4, and he's having a good year. I'm not saying he's having a bad year. What I'm saying is, compared to what we thought and expected him, he's supposed to be a top 15, top 10 player, I suppose, at this point of his career, and he's probably just a top 30 player. That's what I'm trying to say with that. Now, if we look at the Dallas Mavericks as a whole, the Dallas Mavericks have the right pieces in the right spots. I think, and Rick Carlisle is a great coach, and me, I think coaching is one of the most important factors. You could have star players and all that stuff, and really, unless those star players are like LeBron James, nobody's going to be able to like win a championship without a good coach. You need a good coach to, like, because coaching is so important in the playoffs. At the end of the day, having a good coach in the playoffs is just as important as having players who can execute in the playoffs. Because if you have a coach who has a system, the players are important, but he knows the coach is the one who puts the players in position to succeed. And that's my take on it. So if you look at this, I think the team itself, outside of Kristaps, it's Luka, Tim Hardaway Jr., Josh Richardson, Jalen Bronson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Trey Burke, Maxi Kleber, James Johnson, Willie Cauley-Stein. You got Dwight Powell, Dwight Powell seems like they're trying to phase out. Same thing with Boban Marjanovic. And I always knew Boban can't really play many minutes. I'm surprised. And Josh Green and Wesley Iwundu are two young guys. I'm a big fan of Tyler Bay, Nate Hinton, and Tyrell Terry, but they're the future, so is Josh Green. But if you look at this, James Johnson, Willie Cauley-Stein, Dwight Powell. I like Willie Cauley-Stein off the bench, but I really would like them to have a guy instead of Willie Cauley-Stein, because Kristaps is playing like the center position, and then they have this lineup where they have Josh Richardson and Tim Hardaway at the 2 and the 3, and then at the 4 they have like Dorian Finney-Smith, which it's not bad. It's not bad. I do like that lineup. It'd be cool if they could get. I feel like it's cheaper to get a defensive big man, and they could flip Kristaps for like a legit power forward. Imagine Jeremy Grant just running around with Luka. I would love Jeremy Grant on this team. Imagine a lineup of Luka, Josh Richardson. Obviously, I would like them to also trade Josh Richardson for Buddy Hield. So if we flip those two deals, are actually love. Josh Richardson for Buddy Hield and Jeremy Grant for Kristaps Porzingis. Not saying that would happen, but imagine that. Now you got Luka, Buddy Hield, Tim Hardaway Jr. You got a power forward, Jeremy Grant. Then at the center position, either Willie Cauley-Stein or pick up like Dwayne Dedman. The defense might not be as good, but you'll have so much scoring, and I honestly think this would be a better team. That'd be really fun to watch. Okay, that's the video, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy. Let me hear your comments down below. As always, till next, guys. Puppies out.